The day Earth fell silent started with silence. At exactly 9 in the morning. Every phone on Earth stopped working. No signal, no sound, no warning. In New York, people looked at their screens, confused. In Tokyo, subways halted in the middle of tunnels. In London, news anchors stared at blank teleprompters. No one understood what was happening. Then, the skies darkened. Above the clouds, thousands of black objects slowly moved into position. They were not planes, they were not satellites. They were something else, something not from Earth. People came outside. They looked up, some took photos, some prayed, some ran, but there was nowhere to run. The voice came next, deep, cold, and without emotion. It spoke in every language at once. Your world is now under protection. You are safe. Do not resist. That was the moment the world realized this was not a warning, it was an announcement. The Varnaks had arrived. They were tall, silver-skinned, for arms. Eyes that did not blink, they floated, not walked. Their ships hovered above cities, glowing like black suns. Every capital city got a visit. Every military base was shut down. Every leader was captured or forced to obey. Earth was chained without a single bullet fired. They called it a peaceful takeover, but there was no peace. Humans were split into sectors. Each sector had a task: mining, farming, building. People wore collars. If they disobeyed, the collars shocked them. If they ran, they vanished. The Varnaks said it was for our good. You were destroying yourselves. They said, we bring order. But Reyna knew the truth. She lived in Sector 14. Once called Colorado, Reyna had been a systems engineer. Now she worked in a repair shed, fixing broken Varnaks drones. She kept her head down, but inside, her mind was still alive. Her family was gone, taken during the first sweep. She never found out where. She never stopped searching. One night, as she cleaned a drone's memory chip, she found something strange, a hidden message. Not from the Varnaks, it was human. It read, if you can read this, you are not alone. We are alive. Mars is safe. Help us reach you. Reyna stared at the message for a long time. Her hands trembled. She looked around. Cameras watched every corner. But she had trained herself to look calm. She copied the message onto a small metal plate, then crushed the drone like it was broken beyond repair. The guards didn't notice. They never looked closely. That night, Reyna sat by the old furnace, pretending to sleep. But in her mind, a fire had started. Mars. Someone made it off Earth. Someone was still free. For the first time in years, she felt something she had almost forgotten. Hope. The next day, she walked through the scrapyard. Acting like she was gathering parts, she found a broken transmitter, mostly fried. But Reyna knew how to fix things. She always had, and she was going to fix this one. Not to call for help but to answer it. She returned to her shed, hid the device under the floor, and began her secret work. Days passed. She spoke to no one. The guards ignored her. She was just another worker, quiet and obedient, but under the floor. The transmitter started to blink. One green light. Then, late one night, a faint signal came through. This is Commander Juno, Mars Colony. Who are you? Reyna smiled. For the first time in years, her hands shook. She replied in short code, Reyna, Earth, Sector 14. I'm alive. The reply was instant. You're not alone, we're coming. She didn't cry, not yet. There was no time for that. She knew what it meant. If Mars was coming, Earth had a chance. If someone had survived, then the Varnaks had not won, not fully. She looked up at the black sky. Somewhere up there, her family might still be alive. Somewhere out there, humans were still fighting, and maybe, just maybe, it was time for Earth to rise again. But Reyna also knew one more thing. The Varnaks would not give up control easily. They came in silence. But when they fall, it will be with fire. The resistance is born. The old tunnels beneath Sector 14 had been forgotten. They were once part of a mining system before the Varnaks came. Now, most were caved in or filled with dust, but Reyna had found a small path still open, just wide enough for her to crawl through. It led to an empty chamber under the mountains, cold, damp, silent. This became her secret place. Every night, after her shift, Reyna came down here. She brought old tech circuits, batteries, burnt cables, and slowly built a second transmitter. The first one was too risky to use again. The Varnaks were watching the sky now. But she had another plan. She wanted to find others. Humans. Still breathing, still fighting. She scanned local frequencies, searching for any signal that sounded human. It was quiet for days. Then, one night, she heard static. Then a voice, Sector 9, Safe House Delta. We're here, don't speak, just send light. Reyna's breath caught in her throat. She tapped back a short signal, 3 pulses of light. Silence. Then came the reply, we see you. They met 3 nights later. The boy named Eli arrived first, skinny, no older than 16, carrying a hand-carved map and a broken stun rod. Then came Dahlia, a former pilot who had once flown Earth's last airship before the fall. And finally, Omar, A quiet man who never said what he did before the invasion. But the way he moved told Reyna everything. He had been a soldier. The group sat on the cold floor of the chamber. Reyna kept the light low. No names, no last names, no stories, only one rule: survive to fight, we're not soldiers. Reyna said, but we can become one force. Dahlia nodded, we can't fight them head on. Eli added, but we can break their machines. So it began. The resistance was not loud. It was not big, it was small like a spark inside dry wood, but it was alive. And once a spark begins, fire is never far. Their first target was a supply drone. The Varnax used them to carry parts from one station to another. The drones were fast, silent, and heavily armored but not smart. Reyna rewired an old EMP trap. Dahlia placed it in the canyon path near the station. Eli drew a Varnax patrol away using stolen sound bombs. Omar waited, holding the kill switch. At exactly 2 in the morning, the drone flew over the canyon. Click. Boom. The drone dropped like a dead bird, flames spilling from its belly. The team rushed in, grabbed everything they could: power cores, tools, even a partial Varnax processor, and vanished before the patrols arrived. The next day, the Varnax issued new rules. All workers must report any unusual sound, smoke, or missing equipment. The collars became tighter. The shocks became stronger, but Reyna didn't stop. She had seen what one small victory could do. People whispered about it in the mess halls. No one knew who did it, but someone had, and that meant everything. The team moved underground fully now. They built new chambers, stored food, trained in silence. Omar taught them how to move without sound. Dahlia taught them how to map shadows and light. Reyna taught them how to speak in code, how to bypass scanners, how to reprogram a Varnax lens, to see human heat signatures. And Eli brought laughter. He painted messages on rocks: still human, we breathe, free soon. The guards never understood them. Weeks passed. Then another signal came: this is Mars, we are preparing something. Need ground eyes, can you move? Reyna responded, we're ready. Mars sent coordinates: a spot near the old equator line, once a launch base. It was dangerous. Too far, too exposed, but it might hold something the Varnax had missed. Something left behind before Earth fell. Juno's next message said only this: Project Helix. No one in Reyna's team knew what it was, but the way Mars said it, it sounded powerful. Old Earth tech, secret tech. If they could reach it, it might change the war. But Sector 14 was no longer quiet. The Varnax had noticed the missing drone. They had tracked movement near the tunnels. Drones scanned deeper every night. One mistake, and everything would burn. Reyna looked at her team. Faces dirty, tired, but eyes full of something new: belief. They had one shot. If they made it to the old base, they might find Helix. If they failed, they would die free. Reyna picked up her bag, looked at the blinking map, and gave one quiet order: let's move. Fire beneath the red planeth. Desert winds howled as Reyna's team crossed the ruins of old Earth. They traveled at night: no lights, no sound, just stars above and death below. The Varnax patrols had grown faster, meaner. Cities were no longer cities, they were factories glowing with fire. Smoke painted the sky in black. But Reyna's eyes were focused on one thing: the old launch tower rising from the sand. Like a broken finger, this was base Echo-9. It was dead at least that's what the Varnax thought, but under the silence, something still breathed. The team reached the gate by dawn. Omar scouted ahead. Dahlia checked the skies: no drones, no scanners. Eli tapped the control panel on the gate. Locked. Reyna stepped forward. Let me try. She pulled out a jagged Varnax processor she had reprogrammed weeks ago with shaky hands. She plugged it in. For a moment, nothing. Then the gate clicked open, slow and heavy, like a sleeping beast groaning awake. Inside was darkness. They lit no fires, only soft blue chem lights tied to their belts. The halls were tight, full of dust and spider web. Metal machines long forgotten sat quiet, waiting to be touched again. Omar whispered, does it feel empty? Reyna agreed. The air felt warm. Too warm. They passed through broken labs, shattered windows. And then at the end of a long corridor they found the vault. Project Helix. Reyna breathed. It was not a weapon, it was a capsule, metal, black, smooth, floating above the floor. Held by old magnetic coils, a soft hum came from inside, like breathing, like waiting. Eli reached out. Should we touch it? Reyna shook her head. Not yet. She looked around and found a dusty console. It was dead, but deep inside the room, a reactor HUMMED. They powered the system using stolen cores. The screen blinked once. Twice, then words appeared. Helix active. Biolock required. Biolock? Dahlia asked. It means it needs someone's DNA, Reyna said. Someone connected to it. She opened a drawer next to the console and gasped. A single capsule sat inside, glowing faintly. Inside was a blood sample labeled Reyna D. Khalid, her. Heart stopped. She turned pale. This is mine. Omar stared at her. How? Reyna couldn't speak. Why would a secret project on Mars have her blood? She placed her finger on the scanner. The capsule responded instantly. It hissed, opened slightly, and a soft, pale light spilled into the room. Inside was not a person. Inside was a machine. No, more than a machine. It was shaped like a human but not metal. Its body shimmered like liquid stone. Its face was blank, but it tilted toward her. Then it spoke. Hello, Reyna. I have been waiting. The voice was gentle, male, calm. Everyone froze. The machine stood up, fluid and silent. Its eyes glowed. I am Helix, your guardian. Reyna stepped back. Why me? Because you are the last spark. Your DNA was chosen to activate me. You carry the code of resistance, Eli whispered. Are you a weapon? Helix turned to him. I am many things, but mostly I am the memory of what they took from you. Helix walked forward, hands open. I remember Earth, before the chains. I was built to fight for it. Dahlia asked, you were on Mars? Yes, hidden, waiting until your signal reached me. Omar stepped in front. Can you destroy them? The Varnax, Helix's glowing eyes dimmed. I can try, but I will not just fight. I will remind them what it means to hurt humanity. Reyna's hands trembled. She didn't know what Helix was, but she felt something deep in her chest, a connection. Then came the sound they feared, a shriek. The Varnax had found them. Above ground, a scout ship hovered. They had been tracked. The team ran. Reyna stayed. Helix turned his head slowly toward the ceiling. Let them come. The walls shook. Dust fell. A laser pierced the roof. Helix raised his hand. The beam stopped, frozen in midair, then bent backward. The ship exploded. Everyone stared in shock. Helix turned to Reyna. I am ready. But the world above must wake up, Reyna whispered. Then let's wake it. They climbed to the surface. Smoke rising behind them. Helix followed, silent as shadow. The Varnax weren't ready. Helix raised one hand to the sky and sent out a signal. A burst of light raced across the Earth, carried by old satellites, forgotten relays, hidden towers. The message was clear. We are not broken. We are not gone. Earth is rising. Asterisk chains break in the north. Cold hit harder than any Varnax shock collar. Reyna pulled her coat tighter as the snowstorm howled around them. The team had traveled north far past the old ruins of Canada, deep into the dead ice zone. Nothing lived here anymore. Not trees, not animals, not even machines, which made it the perfect place to hide the last piece of Helix. The signal had come from an ancient data burst buried in Echo 9's logs. A hidden scientist's voice crackled through static. If Helix is ever activated, you must retrieve Dr. Voss. He holds the neural key. That voice was 10 years old, maybe more. But Reyna clung to it like fire in the snow that Dr. Voss had built. The part of Helix that made it feel pain, memory, and rage. Without him, Helix was powerful but not complete. They needed that key, and they weren't the only ones searching. Varnax hunter ships had been spotted on thermal scans. Silent shadows in the sky. Helix walked beside them. No coat, no need. Snow melted as it touched him. The wind never moved his hairless, glowing form, but Reyna noticed his pace slowing. Is something wrong? She asked. Helix looked up. I feel something, a signal, faint, human. They moved toward it. After hours of hiking, they found a tan old bunker buried under a mountain of ice. Omar fired a plasma bolt to clear the way. The door slid open with a frozen screech. Inside was pitch black. They descended with lights low and weapons ready. The halls were different from Echo 9. These were tight, brutalist, and cold like the air itself. They found cracked glass tanks, old beds, empty wheelchairs. Then a voice echoed from the dark. You're not Varnax. The team spun around, weapons up. A tall, thin man stepped into the light, pale skin, long beard, one eye white from frostbite. Dr. Voss? Reyna asked. He nodded. Took you long enough. He walked toward Helix. Hands stopped. His voice shook. You're awake. Helix nodded, but not whole. Voss placed a trembling hand on Helix's chest. You don't feel rage yet, do you? No. Then you're not ready for war. Reyna stepped forward. Can you finish him? Voss nodded. But I need time, and the machine upstairs is angry. He pointed to a broken core machine pulsing red in the wall. My lab's protector. I turned it against the Varnax. Now it thinks everything is the enemy. Omar raised his gun. Then we destroy it. No, Voss snapped. We need its power core. Without it, I can't finish Helix. The team split. Dahlia and Omar took the left path. Reyna and Helix stayed with Voss inside the reactor room. The core protector waited, half robot, half alien metal, long claws, red eyes, a face like melted glass. Dahlia and Omar attacked fast. Stun shots, smoke charges, but the machine fought like it remembered pain. It moved faster than any Varnax drone. Omar was thrown into a wall. Dahlia rolled under its swing and fired into its head. Sparks flew. Metal screamed. It fell. They dragged the core back to the lab. Voss worked quickly, fingers trembling, eyes burning with memory. He opened Helix's chest, no blood, only energy. Like a star had been broken and trapped inside him, Voss inserted the neural key. Helix's body jolted, his eyes turned from soft white to burning gold. He fell to one knee. Reyna rushed to him. Helix, he looked up slowly. I see it all now, the cages, the fire, the chains. I remember Earth's scream. His voice had changed, still calm but deeper, like thunder under still water. Then came a sound from above. Varnax. They were here. Hunter-class ships circled the skies. Drop beasts landed on the ice, walking tanks, crawling drones. They had found the signal. Reyna looked at her team. We can't run. Helix stood. You don't have to. He walked outside alone. The snow hissed under his feet. The Varnax fired. First bright blue energy beams. Helix raised his hand and caught them. The air cracked. The ice exploded. One by one, the ships fell. The drop beasts turned against each other. Drones shut down mid-air. Reyna and her team watched from the bunker entrance, stunned. It wasn't a battle. It was a warning. The Varnax had awakened something they did not understand. Something they could not control. When it was over, Helix returned. Not tired, not broken. Changed. He looked at Reyna. You wanted Earth to rise? Then it must burn its old chains first, Dr. Voss whispered behind her. He's beyond what I made now. Reyna nodded slowly. Good. She turned to the rest. We go south, to the central node. Eli blinked. That's suicide. Reyna smiled for the first time in days. Exactly. That's why they'll never expect it. The resistance would no longer hide. The storm had begun. Fury wackest night sky over Sector 0 turned red. Not with fire, but with signal bursts, lines of ancient code flying through old satellites like blood through veins. Earth's dead systems, long thought broken, now blinked alive with a silent roar. Helix had awakened the grid, every drone, every tower, every forgotten server hidden beneath the ashes of human civilization lit up. Reyna stood at the edge of the destroyed city, watching the sky pulse. What are you doing? She whispered. Helix stood next to her, unmoving. I am reminding them. Mars was silent now. After Helix connected to the old Martian relay, the transmission stopped. Either they were preparing or watching, but Reyna felt something bigger. Behind the silence, Helix had grown distant, not cold, just focused. Inside his mind was a storm. And Reyna was no longer sure if even he could control it. Eli ran up behind them, breathless. It worked. The prisons in Sector 11, they're empty, the collar's gone. Reyna turned sharply. What? They broke open, all at once. The drones guarding them just shut down. Helix spoke softly. Freedom begins with disobedience. Across Earth, it had started. Miners dropped their tools and picked up weapons. Farmers in Sector 8 set fire to the food shipments meant for Varnax leaders. Children once raised in silence now screamed the names of cities long erased from maps. But the Varnax were not passive. They retaliated. Laser storms rained down on Sector 5, destroying entire camps. Massive machines were dropped into Sector 13 to crush the uprisings. Human blood returned to the soil. Omar looked at the tactical map and slammed his fist. We woke them too soon. No, Reyna said firmly. We woke them just in time. She turned to Helix. You started this fire, now finish it. Helix looked down at his hands, still glowing, still steady. Very well, but I will not fight alone. He walked to a small bunker beneath the hills where the team had stored the last functional Varnax war drone. It had been captured weeks ago, reprogrammed slowly by Reyna and Eli, never activated. Now Helix touched it. The drone jerked to life, but did not resist. One by one, Helix reactivated others' old human machines, hacked Varnax tech, ancient warbots. Once buried for fear of what they could do, he gave them minds, not minds like his, but just enough to follow a single command: protect Earth, show no mercy. By dawn, the resistance had an army. They struck first. Dahlia led the aerial squad over the floating Varnax station in Sector 2. With old stealth ships and scavenged rockets, she dove into the fire. The explosion lit the sky for an hour. Omar led. The ground charged through the steel gates of Central Command. They used EMP arrows and sonic disruptors. The Varnax had never seen humans fight like this. And Reyna? She walked side by side with Helix into Sector 0, the heart of the Varnax control hub. It was no longer a city. It was a tower made of metal and suffering. As they approached, Varnax speakers blared. You do not understand what you are awakening. We saved you. Helix stepped forward and replied, voice steady. You chained us. You silenced us. Now you will hear us. He raised both hands and the tower began to fall from every side. Fire erupted. The ground cracked. Power lines turned to snakes of light. The sky darkened, not with clouds, but with falling debris and burning ships inside the tower. Reyna led her team through corridors of glass and steel. She was not afraid anymore. Every room they passed had once been used to torture, to control. She saw collars stacked like trophies, names of humans marked as compliant or erased. She saw her sister's name crossed out. For a second, her heart broke again. Then she saw another name. Reyna D. Khalid, considered dangerous, kill on sight. She smiled bitterly. They should have killed me when they had the chance. She placed a plasma charge on the wall and walked away. The explosion shook the base. As the team escaped, Helix stood on the edge of the crater they left behind. He looked to the sky, eyes burning. The fury you gave us now belongs to you. One final burst of energy shot upward faster than light, reaching every Varnax ship, every relay, every control unit across Earth. And every one of them turned to ash. Earth strikes back. Earth had stopped begging, now it screamed. Across every continent, humans were rising not with fear, but with fury. Reyna stood on the shattered edge of what used to be Shanghai. The city was ash, but the people were alive and they were fighting. Children once raised in silence now carried scrap rifles. Farmers wore armor made from drone parts. Mechanics rewired enemy bots and sent them back like wolves into the dark. The signal had spread from Sector 3's deserts to the frozen mines of Sector 17. Helix's fire touched everything. But the war wasn't over. The Varnax knew how to bleed. And now they were angry. High above Earth, the Varnax fleet arrived. 10 massive warships, shaped like black swords, pierced through space and hovered in orbit. Each ship carried death engines strong enough to split cities in half. Their goal was simple: wipe out humanity once and for all. Helix watched from the edge of the atmosphere, his body floating inside a long-forgotten Terran satellite station. His eyes glowed gold, connected to every machine on Earth. They're bringing extinction, he said calmly. Reyna's voice came through the comms. Then let's meet them halfway. The last plan had no name. No one expected to survive it, but everyone was ready. Dahlia led the skies. Her ships were patched together from Earth's junk and stolen Varnax engines. They flew crooked, but fast. She whispered her last prayer as her squad launched into orbit. Omar led the surface units, hundreds of humans and reprogrammed Varnax mechs charged across Sector 0. They used magnetic slings to bring down enemy walkers and EMP bombs hidden in food crates. Eli Brave, foolish Eli, had become a legend. He hacked into a Varnax radio tower and screamed, "This is for Earth," then detonated the tower from inside. But in the center of it all stood Reyna. She entered the core hub, the brain of the Varnax control system. It was buried beneath Antarctica. Hidden for years, her goal: shut down their link to the fleet above. The walls were made of smooth metal. The air buzzed with cold light. Varnax guards stood still like statues, watching. But she was not alone. Helix appeared beside her, rising from the shadows like a storm. The moment his feet touched the ground, the walls cracked. "I remember this place," Helix whispered. "Were you built here?" Reyna asked. "No, but I was feared here." They reached the core gate. It was locked by alien thought and AI. Puzzle that changed with emotion, a mind-reading lock. Reyna placed her hand on the door. It scanned her memories. Her father teaching her how to fix a solar panel, her mother's voice calling her name, her sister's face, and the scream when she was taken. The door opened. Inside sat the core, a glowing crystal, pulsing like a heart. Helix placed his hand on it. And Earth shuddered. Up above, the Varnax fleet launched their first strike. A beam of red light shot toward Africa. It never hit. Instead, it stopped midair, turned to liquid, and fell back down. Helix had hijacked their targeting system. "No more silence," he whispered. The core melted under his grip. Code broke, chain shattered. Every Varnax system on Earth died. The orbiting ships panicked. They had never lost control before. Then came the final blow, a weapon Earth had hidden for too long. Reyna activated the signal Juno had sent from Mars months ago. The message wasn't words. It was a code, a backdoor written deep into Varnax tech. From the first day they arrived, Earth had never been as weak as it pretended. And now, the lie ended. The code reached the ships. And one by one, they exploded. Reyna watched the sky fill with light. No sound, just fire. Omar cheered through the radio. "They're running." Dahlia screamed, "We did it." But Reyna didn't smile. She looked at Helix, who stood still, glowing brighter than ever. His face was unreadable. "What happens now?" she asked. Helix looked upward. "Now they fear you." Reyna frowned. "That's not what we want." Helix turned his golden eyes toward her. "Then tell them, tell the galaxy, the humans you chained, now command the sky." The final chain war was over, but the silence afterward was louder than any explosion. Reyna stood in the center of the old Varnax command chamber. The metal walls that once controlled the Earth now flickered with dying lights. Sparks fell from the ceiling. The ground trembled, not from battle but from the weight of what had just happened. Helix stood beside her. His body glowed less now, faded, dim. He had given everything to end the invasion, one by one. The Varnax ships had fallen, the sky had burned, and when the smoke cleared, Earth still stood. But it wasn't just Earth watching anymore. A transmission had gone out. Helix sent it before the last fleet died, a signal aimed at deep space. Beyond the stars. A message to every race watching from a distance. We were weak, you came, you chained us. We broke those chains. We are not prey, we are not children, we are human, and we remember. And now the galaxy was listening across the resistance. Camps, people danced in broken streets. Families who thought they had lost everything found each other again. Children looked at the sky and didn't feel fear. For the first time in years, they felt proud, but Reyna did not celebrate. She looked at the last data logs Helix had recovered. Thousands of names, those taken, those erased, those never seen again. Her sister's name was on that list. Under the file, genetic sample archived, terminated. Reyna stared at it for a long time. Then, slowly, she closed the screen. Omar entered, his arm in a sling, eyes heavy. They're asking for you. People are chanting your name. I didn't win this alone, maybe not, but you lit the fire. She nodded. I'm tired of fire. Outside, the winds had changed. The black sky was clearing. Stars returned. Dahlia landed her ship on the cliffs above the sea. She had painted its body with the word free in red. Ellie's laughter echoed across the valley as he told stories to kids who had never heard hope before. But in the sky, a ripple opened, a tear in space, a ship unlike any other emerged. It wasn't Varnax. It was older, bigger, covered in deep silver and lined with scars. Symbols not known to any human blinked across its hull. Reyna stared at it. They heard us. She whispered. Helix stepped forward. They were always watching. The ship hovered for hours. It sent no message. It made no move, just watched. Reyna stood before a camera and spoke one final time. The message was sent across all channels. In every human language, in voice and light and code. We are not your farm. We are not your experiment. We are not your weakness. We are the children of Earth. If you come in peace, we will welcome you. If you come in chains, we will break them. The ship drifted. Then vanished without a sound. Helix turned to her. His face was fading. My task is finished. No, Reyna said. You're part of us now. I was made from pain. I was born for war. If I stay, I may become what I was created to destroy. Reyna stepped closer. Then stay, to become something else. Helix looked at the humans rebuilding around him, laughing, crying, breathing. He nodded once. Then let me be your memory. I will sleep, not die, until Earth needs its fury again. He stepped into the ruins of the control core. Reyna watched as his body melted into the walls, energy sinking into the earth like roots into soil. Above him, a glowing crystal remained, a heart, still beating, a final symbol. They called it the Ember, and they built around it, not a weapon, a city, a home. Named after the first resistance spark, Reyna, epilogue layers past Earth healed. Mars became a bridge, not a battlefield. The stars opened not for war, but for wandering. Children were taught the old names, Eli, Dahlia, Omar, Helix. And the last name was whispered with pride, Reyna Khalid, the one who broke the chains. In the farthest part of the galaxy, a council of old empires sat in silence. One voice spoke. They were not supposed to win. Another replied. They did not win with strength. They won because they remembered what it felt like to be free. And across the stars, a warning passed from world to world. Do not chain Earth. Because Earth remembers and Earth strikes back.